Hi there everyone, this is Julie the Whippy Chick, and today we're going to learn how to make this cute cat bed like the one that Miss Zoey is laying in. This project uses 2 strands of yarn, so you're going to need 2 balls of yarn, preferably in contrasting colors. I'm using a very light blue and a dark blue. You'll also need a large size hook, I used a 9, a pair of scissors, and a darning needle. To get started, we're going to use a magic ring. Some people also call this a cinch knot because you can cinch up the circle. We are going to be working in the round, so we're going to start off by doing 2 chains, chain 1 and chain 2, and we're going to count that chain 2 as a double crochet. From there, we're going to do 9 more double crochets into the ring. There we go. Okay, so might just need to cinch this up a little bit here. It's a little loose. Okay, so to do a double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up our loop, pull through 2, pull through 2 loops, and pull through the last 2 loops. Now it is a little fiddly at first, especially when you're working with 2 strands and a magic ring. So just take your time, you'll get there. The more double crochets you have into the ring, the easier it gets to hold on to it. It becomes more stable. So just, be patient with yourself. You'll get there. Okay, so counting the chain, that makes 3. Here comes number 4. Yeah, see that how it slips off your hook sometimes. You just have to, pay a little extra attention, but before too long you just get used to having the 2 strands act as one. Okay, let's see what we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7, so we still have to do 3 more. Remember that first chain 2 counts as 1 double crochet. And at the end of this, we want to have 10. This pattern does tend to be a bit of a yarn eater, just a warning. Okay, so let's cinch this up. We're going to just pull on our tail. And this is the beauty of the magic ring. It cinches everything up nice and tight. So there's not even really a hole in the center anymore. And here's our chain 2. So this is what we're going to build into. We're going to join with a slip stitch right at the top of that chain. And round 1 is now complete. Start round 2, and every other round after this we are going to do a chain 2. That builds it up so that we can go on up kind of to the next level. We're going to be building into each of these stitches. Right now we have 10 on the hook. To do this next round, we are going to go 2 double crochets into each of those stitches. Here's our chain 2. Okay, and we're going to, like I said, double crochet into each of these stitches. So we're going to double the number of stitches. When we finish this round, we're going to have 20. So here's 1 stitch, or 1 double crochet in the first stitch, and 2 double crochets in that same stitch. Now we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, and another double crochet is going to go into that exact same stitch. So every stitch gets 2 double crochets for this round, and that is going to double our number of stitches. At the end of this round, you're going to have 20 stitches. It's best to think of that first chain as the last stitch in the round rather than the first stitch, because when we come all the way around, we're going to use that initial stitch to build our last stitch into, if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to understand it or explain it verbally. It's much easier when you get to that part and you can see what I'm talking about. This pattern uses all double crochets. That is the only stitch that you need to know to do this pattern, which is kind of nice. Makes it kind of mindless. If you can count and you can do double crochets, you are all set. I'm going to cinch this up a little bit again. It gets a little loose at first, so you might find yourself cinching it up a little bit now and then. Okay, we're starting to come to the end of this round. And you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we have to do one more, and that is going to go into that first stitch right next to that chain. So you see that chain is there, these two go together, so they are it's really the last stitch in the round. Okay, so let's cinch that up a little bit again, and we're going to get ready to chain 2 and start round 3. Okay, so for round 3 we are going to continue to make our circle bigger. We need to add more stitches to it. But the first thing we need to do is to chain 2. Now we are going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and in the following stitch we are going to put 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So here's 1, and number 2 is going in the same stitch. Now I kind of like to think of these stitches as workers. They're working to make our project bigger. And I think of the third stitch in this round is like the new guy. Now everybody knows when you start a new job, the new guy has to be with someone who's been there for a while. So that new guy is going to stay with stitch number 2. So let me show you what I mean. It's kind of a silly story, but it helps me to remember. We've got 1 stitch here, and now here's number 2 stitch. Number 2 stitch has been here for a while. Here's number 3. He's going to hang out with number 2. They're going to stay together. And we're just going to repeat that. Here's number 1. Here's number 2. Number 2 is our helper on this round. And here's number 3. He's going to stay with number 2 because he's the new guy. So round number 3, the third stitch is the new guy. That's going to continue for all of our rounds. So when we get up to the 4th round, number 4 will be the new guy, and he's going to hang out with number 3, and they're going to be in the same stitch together. So like I said, it's a silly little story, but once you get it in your head that way, you'll never forget. And it's a trick that I actually learned from another YouTuber named Anya. She calls them scared stitches. I like to think of them as new workers at the job, new workers at the factory. But whatever helps you remember, you know, makes this a whole lot easier. Okay, so we're going to just continue to do that all the way around. So here's one, and number two, and number three stays with number two. Oh, it looks like I dropped one of my strands. And again, you know, that's going to happen now and then, but no biggie. That's the wonderful thing about crochet. You just slide it right out, get another chance to do it all over again. Very easy to fix your mistakes in crochet. We're getting close to the end of this round. So here's one. And remember that chain counts as our last stitch. So that's actually our number three guy. So here's number two. And we're going to join number two with number three by using a slip stitch at the top of the chain. And that's the end of round 3. Now we're going to work for number 4, round number 4. And if you take a look at your work, you'll notice that you can see the individual rounds. Even on the back, it's a little easier. You can really see these defined round stripes. So we're working into number 4. Again, we do our chain up 2. That's going to count as the last stitch. We're going to double crochet into the first stitch. This really eats a lot of yarn. This is a great stash buster. Double crochet into the second stitch. Double crochet into the third stitch. This is worker number 3. He's been here a while now, so he's going to welcome worker number 4, and they're going to stay together. Number 3 and number 4 are going to go together in that same stitch. So here's number 1. Here's number 2. Number 3 and number 4 are going to go into the same stitch. And we're just going to continue this all the way around, and I'll meet you at the other end. Okay, so here I am at the end of the round. And let's see, it looks like I need to put one more in here. Number 3 stitch, so I can join that with number 4, because that first stitch we put in counts as our last. That first chain that we put in there, that counts as our last stitch. So we're going to join that at the top with a slip stitch, just like we have in the previous rounds, and we'll do the same thing in the next few rounds. So we're going to move on to round number 5. And as you guessed, we're going to start with a chain 2. So we're going to chain up 2. And now in this round, number 5 is the new guy. So number 5 is going to stick with number 4. We're going to do a double crochet into the first stitch, a double crochet into the second stitch, a double crochet into the third stitch, and 2 double crochets into the fourth stitch. So that's number 4. Number 4 welcomes number 5 to the group. And I'll just do that again. Double crochet into the first, double crochet into the second, double crochet into the third, and 2 double crochets into the 4th. Here's number 4, and number 5, our new guy, stays with number 4. And we're going to continue to work in the same pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, so here we are again at the end of the round. You can kind of see where I am here. That chain stitch represents number 5, so here's number 4. I'm going to join that at the top with a slip stitch, and we are going to start round number 6. Now, I'm sure you've noticed a pattern here. We just keep increasing by 10 stitches in the same manner every single round. Chain up 2, that counts as our last stitch. Double crochet into the first stitch, double crochet into the second stitch, double crochet into the third stitch, double crochet into the fourth stitch, and 2 double crochets into the 5th stitch, because this is stitch number 5, who's been here a while, and now we're going to introduce number 6, so he's going to stay with number 5. And then we just do that again. Double crochet into the first stitch, double crochet into the second stitch, double crochet into the third stitch, double crochet into the fourth stitch, and 2 double crochets into the 5th. And you're just going to continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. So we've made it to the end of round 6. We are just going to check our work here. Yep. All right, and that last stitch counts as number 6, so this is actually stitch number 5. We're going to put it in together with the last stitch, which is number 6, and we're going to join it with a slip stitch, just like we have in all the previous rounds, and get ready for round number 7. Now, if you look closely, and it's kind of hard to tell, maybe I can zoom in, but each of those double crochets kind of line up with the one from the previous round. You see, here's a double, here's a double. It is kind of hard to see with this particular pattern, but once you learn to read your crochet, you'll be able to notice that. Okay, so round number 7, let's chain up 2. I'm sure you've already figured this out. We are going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and in the 6th stitch we are going to put in 2 double crochets. It will be stitch number 6 and 7. So this is number 2, 3, 4, 5, and now in the 6th, 6 and 7 are going to go together. So 2 double crochets in that 6th stitch. And we're going to do that again. Here's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 4 double crochets, 5 double crochets, and in this next stitch we're going to do 6 and 7, so 2 double crochets together. And you're going to continue to work this way all the way to the end of the round, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so here we are at the end. I've got one more stitch to enter in here. There's number 6. And of course number 7's there waiting. That's the chain. So we are going to join with a slip stitch. Okay, so let's take a look here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds completed. I think we're going to do just one more round, and that is going to complete the base of our cat bed. Now you could make this as big as you wanted. I'm just going to stop at 8. The last bed I made, I believe I went up as far as 10. So let's chain up 2. And you've probably already figured out this pattern by now, but I'm going to walk you through it anyway. We're going to do a double crochet into the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, come on, 6, 6 stitches. And number 7 and 8 are going to go together in this stitch. So those two stay together. And again, you're going to do this all the way around, steady increasing a double crochet in the next 6 stitches, 2 double crochets in the 7th stitch. There's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, here's number 5, number 6, and in the 7th stitch we do 2, because there's number 7 who's been here a while. He's welcoming number 8. And they're staying together. Okay, so just continue that all the way around and I'll meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so here we are at the end of round 8. I'm going to put in stitch number 7 because remember that chain is number 8. We're going to join at the top of that chain, and that's going to complete this round. Okay, to begin this next section, we're going to start going vertical now on our cat bed or our cat basket. We're still going to chain 2, but instead of working into the entire stitch, we're just going to work into the back loops of each stitch. We're no longer going to do any increases. We're just going to do a double crochet into the back loop of every stitch. This might seem fiddly if you've never worked in back loop stitches before, and it even kind of looks like it stretches out that stitch, but not to worry, that's just going to go right back to normal as you work your way around. And you'll see that when I get to the end of this. See how it pulls up on those stitches a little bit? It looks like it stretches them out. But honestly, it really does go right back to normal, and you won't notice that. So we're just going to continue to work that way around, all the way around our circle. At this point, because we've done 8 rounds, and we've increased 10 stitches every time, we now have 80 stitches in our round. So we're going to do 80 back loop stitches. And here you can see how that's starting to pull those stitches up vertically. Isn't that neat? Okay, so we're back to the beginning now, or at least close to it. I'm going to do a couple more back loops, double crochets, and when we get to the end of these 2, we are going to join with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2. Easy peasy. This is old hat by now. All right, so you can see where we're definitely going vertical. It's starting to look like a basket. Okay, so now we're just going to build on top of that. We're going to chain up 2. And we are going to do regular double crochet stitches into the entire stitch now. No more back loops, no more increases. Just going to work steady into every stitch. So we're going to have 80 double crochets. And I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so here we are at the end of that round, and we're going to chain up 2, and we're going to start double crocheting into every stitch again. Only this time, instead of going all the way around, we're only going to do 60 stitches. And what that's going to do is it's going to stop us with 20 stitches left to go. So I will meet you when I get to 60 stitches. Okay, so I've come around 60 stitches, and it probably doesn't look different yet, but when I hold it like this, you can kind of see where that leaves this little opening here for kitty cat to get in and out of their bed easily. From here, we're going to work back around those 60 stitches. So we're going to chain up 2. And we're going to turn our work, something we haven't done yet, but now we're done working in the round. And we're going to do double crochets right back where we came, right on all of those 60 stitches that we just completed. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Okay. So, like I said, we're just going to continue to do that, and I will meet you at the other side. Okay, so here we are. I've done another row of 60 stitches, so now I've got 2 of them up there. And what we're doing is we're just building up this little side and back edge, and we're going to eventually have enough of that we're going to fold it over to create a brim. Now, this isn't enough of it to fold over. I'm going to do 6 rows like this, and then we'll fold that over to make a brim. So what we're going to do is just continue as we were. We're going to chain up 2 and a double crochet in every stitch all the way around until we have 60 of them. And like I said, we're going to do that a total of 6 times. Now we've already done it twice, so we have 4 more to go. So I'm going to meet you at the end of those 4 additional rows. Okay, so I've completed my additional 4 rows. I'm ready to tie off now. Got my scissors handy. I'm going to snip that, and we're going to fasten off here. And now it is time for our darning needle, because we are going to fold over this brim, and we are going to tie it down by stitching in with our ends. So leave enough room with your ends when you snip them. Okay, so that's how we fold it over. Gives it a little bit more structure as well. And here's my darning needle. Now, this is how I thread my darning needle. I fold it over, and I kind of clamp it down with my thumb nice and tight on that needle, and I pull it through. And then all you have to do is just kind of wiggle that right on there. My grandmother taught me how to do it that way, and I've been doing it that way ever since. So this does not have to be particularly tidy, especially given the pattern of the way these two yarn strands work together. This is going to be pretty invisible no matter how sloppy you are, really. So I'm just going to go over that a couple times and then tie it into a knot and then weave in my ends. And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to have to snip a couple strands of yarn to attach that other corner down. But I don't go all the way around, I just do the corners. And so here is our finished kitty bed. Again, you could make this as big or as small as you want. Happy crocheting!